Hello, welcome back to FC Smorgon with me, Looney Loser 17. It is now the beginning of October, so it's been about 2 months again since I last made a video for this save, and it's been a busy summer. Obviously, with Europa Conference League, I've had more matches than usual, plus in the summers when the Belarusian Cup occurs. We're in a couple of week break currently from league play, so actually my next scheduled match is a friendly, just to try to keep the legs fresh, but I've only scheduled one friendly instead of a couple because we've got some tired legs after all the extra matches we were doing this summer. I'm currently 6th in the league. It is very tight though in the competition for Europe, as 3rd through 11th are separated by 9 points with 6 matches left. So there's a lot of teams still in play. And if you want to narrow that down, 3rd through 8th is within 4. So it'll be very, like, every match pretty much is important herein because every point matters. How 3rd actually came back into play is Minsk actually went through a stretch where they took 1 out of 15 possible points, which is why they went from safely in front of the battle for the last European spot to right in the heat of it. But you aren't necessarily so concerned about Minsk if you're watching this video. You want to know about FC Smorgon. So how did we do? And how far did we get into Europe? Okay, so August started with a 1-1 away draw at Bate. It was a match where we didn't really play all that well. Bate took the lead from the spot. We grabbed an equalizer 57th minute. Albeit the stats actually look pretty comparable, especially once you factor out the 0.75 xG that comes from the penalty. But really, we got lots of bad ratings here. So really, it was a performance we weren't particularly proud of. Then we had the Europa Conference 3rd qualifying round against IFK Norrköping, the Swedish club. First leg was in Sweden. We actually took the lead in Sweden. They were actually expected to beat us up pretty good in this match. As far as like the pre-match expectations in the media and such. Nikita Zuk in a rare start scored 19th minute to give us a 1-0 lead. We held it to late in the match. They get an 84th minute equalizer. The match was actually very 50-50 until the last 10 minutes. And then it was all one-way traffic. So even after they got the equalizer, they kept pressing, try to find a go-ahead goal. But Shapko stood strong. The defense did just enough to get us out of there with the draw and the away goal. In between the two European 3rd round matches, we had a home match in the lead with Torpedo Zodino. Again, we did not play well. They finally broke through about an hour in. We lose 1-0. And then we welcome IFK Norrköping for the 2nd leg. And to say that this result was unexpected would be putting it mildly. 5-0. We were 2 goals up by halftime. Rimash and Kozul, the strikers, on the score sheet again and then we poured it on late. Kozlov gets a second in the 74th minute. Remish adds a second of his own in the 77th. Kozlov caps a hat trick in the 91st minute. Earns us a spot in the 4th qualifying round, which is just the last round before the group stage. So a good bit to be excited about. The 3rd round was realistically about as far as I expected us to go, especially for our first time in Europe. Followed that up with, for the 2nd time all season, stringing back-to-back wins together with a 2-0 win in the league at Slavia Mozir. Maximovic, the young center mid out of my academy, who is actually playing the advanced playmaker role in my tactic for a change because Mironov needed a match off, and I decided to flip-flop the roles for my center midfielders because the young center midfielders had not played particularly well when I'd played them together. So I just tried on a whim to flip them and see how that played out. Maximovic scores 1 in each half, first from the spot in the 40th minute. And then, if I remember right, it was a direct free kick in the 71st minute. So neither goal was open play, but we'll take the 2-0 win. Unfortunately for us, the 4th qualifying round in the Europa Conference League, we drew Wolves from the English Premier League. I was expecting it to get ugly. In the first leg, it did. Because we went 2 Wolves first. They hammered us 4-0. Honestly, I wouldn't have been surprised if it had been 6 or 7. They were 3-0 up at halftime. We never really got anything going. Though I did learn some lessons from that match. I also don't think they played their full strongest side against us, because in between the 2 legs with Wolves, well, we had a Belarusian Cup match. They smashed Arsenal 4-0 in the Premier League. Our match in between, Belarusian Cup 2nd round match against Belshina, side that we had beaten in all 3 previous meetings, but most of those had been years ago. And after 5 times in 6 years going out in the 2nd round of the Belarusian Cup, we finally got a win. 3 goals up by halftime. They had a guy sent off 55th minute before getting an 84th minute consolation goal after we had turned the tempo way down and such. Kaborda scores in the opening minute. This was a fully rotated 11. Even Shabaknia, the backup keeper, got in for this match. Boulay, 4th choice striker, scores in the 25th minute. Galushko playing on the left wing, because Kaborda was starting as well, scored 45th minute to give us a comfortable 3-0 halftime margin. And we sort of coasted in from there. Four days after that, we had the 2nd leg with Wolves, trying to overturn a 4-goal deficit. It was never likely to happen. They still dominated play, especially in the first half. It was actually 0-0 at halftime. They got a goal right out of halftime, and that actually ended up becoming rather important because Kozlov finally broke through and got us a goal, 50th minute. It's like, well, okay. My thought at that point was, okay, at least we've shown we can score on a Premier League team. Or at least a team from one of the top leagues in Europe. But then Remish goes out and adds 81st and 91st minute goals, give us a 3-1 edge on the night. bring us within 5-3 on the aggregate. We couldn't get it any closer than that. But if you think about it, if they hadn't scored there right at the start of the second half, that would have been a 1-goal match in second half stoppage time. Where if we'd been able to find a fourth, that would have meant an extra half hour. So the European Conference campaign ends in the fourth qualifying round, just shy of the group stage. A lot to be proud of. Beating a Premier League side, even if it was a weakened side again, presumably, I believe. And of course, this came during a break in the league, which meant we could actually get our Belarusian Cup third round match in. Played fellow highest league, Belarusian highest league side, Ruk Brest, who we had smashed earlier in the season in the league. And we dominated them again. Both our earlier in the season matchup and this match were both at home. That becomes relevant because later in the month we actually played our second league match with them this season away. Sorry, yawning randomly while I'm recording this, even though I'm not tired right now. This match was actually worth remembering, and this is probably I think this will be one of the matches I show the highlights to. We actually scored twice within a minute. Simoni, the third string striker, and Nodolski, the versatile winger, fullback on the left side, playing as a winger for this match, both score in the 25th minute. This is a sort of a mixed squad because I wanted to make sure I got the quarterfinal if I could possibly do so. Because of our struggles in the league leading up to this, the Belarusian Cup might have been was potentially going to be my only possible option to get back to Europe next season. But we, as you might be able to see, we actually started to finally find some form in the league at this point. Mironov adds a third before halftime in the 38th minute from the spot. Nodolski makes it a brace in the 54th minute to make it 4-0. They got a consolation in the 79th minute. Comfortable win. This match, this was followed a week and a half later with a home match with Minsk, who were in the middle of that slide I talked about earlier where they took 1 point in 15. We were part of that slide. 2-0 win at home. Kurglania scores in the 20th minute. Remish adds the second in the 64th minute. This was a big win because at that point it knocked our deficit to them from 8 to 5. And I think if I remember right, we pretty well outplayed them. Well, we looked more dangerous, but it was pretty even. Slight edge to us. 2-0 fair is a fair result. And then grudge match against our former parent club, Nieman Grodno, bottom of the league. They beat us 1-0 earlier in the season when we were floundering, when they hadn't taken a point all season, on a 91st minute goal in a match we had dominated. We let our feelings be known in this match that we did not appreciate what happened the previous time we met. Kozul ends up scoring a hat trick. We were at 4-1 up by halftime. Kozul capped the hat trick in the 89th minute for the only goal of the second half. Emphatic home win, which was the start of 3 matches in 8 days. Second match was the away match with Ruk Brest. 7-goal thriller. The less really said about this match, the better. The refereeing was absolutely abhorrent in this match. In the lead up to their first goal, they actually committed a foul that should have been a penalty for us. That was not called. They went down and scored. They had a second a few minutes later. Kriglania gets one back fairly late in the first half, 37th minute, to get within 2-1. Just after that, pretty much, they get a very dubious penalty. A, it looked like it was a clean tackle. B, it looked like it was outside the box potentially, but albeit it was close. Which, of course, they convert the penalty, make it 3-1. You could very easily make a case, if anything, it should have been 2-1 us at half. Instead, we're 3-1 down. That completely changes the complexion of the match. They actually get one at the hour mark to make it 4-1 before we add get a couple back. Kriglania again in the 82nd, Remish in the 91st to get within 4-3. And then we had a decent look or two after that to try to find an equalizer. And then that's not even getting into the fact that Remish missed a penalty as well, which was just horribly taken. He put nothing on it. Comfortably saved by the keeper. Safe to say I was a little bit livid at that match, especially when I looked after and found that the referee got a 6.9 for that match. Because if you didn't know, the referees actually get ratings like the players do. And you can actually look those up. Let's see if it'll show here. No. Okay. But there was like the email after that match. It showed like the referee's name, and I could click on the name of the referee and go to like his profile page, and it showed like the recent matches that he refereed. And for that match against Rick Brest, they gave the ref a 6.9 rating. So whoever rated the ref thought he had a pretty good match. Yeah, no. Anyway, moving on from that. Followed up with the last match of a busy stretch of 13 matches over 2 months against 15th place Islak, another team who had 1 point in the league when they beat us back-to-back with Neiman Grodno early in the season. This match was closer than it should have been. We didn't find the breakthrough until the 80th minute. Simone adds a second in the 89th minute. So he gets the brace. We get the 2-0 win. Match that we absolutely controlled. 1.9 to 0.59 XG. Okay. Belarusian Cup will be next spring. For our quarterfinal, just for the record, we'll play Dinamo Brest. Those will be home and home. So both teams will get a home match in there. Semifinals are also home and home. But looking at these quarterfinals, there's at least a little bit more protection for whoever finishes fourth this season because both Shakhtar Sologorsk and Dynamo Minsk, who are barring something absolutely catastrophic, going to finish 1-2 in the league this season. They are both still in this cup this season, whereas last season, by this point, 2 of the top 3 sides in the Belarusian highest league, including us, were out, which meant it was a high probability, and it ended up happening where somebody that finished outside the top 4 won the Belarusian Cup. But there's 2 second-tier sides left, and Smilovici actually got a fairly reasonable draw. I don't know where they are in the second tier, but Slavia Mozir, that's a bottom half side, at least usually. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure they are this year too. So there is a chance that we could have a second tier Belarusian side in the semifinals again, which happened a couple of seasons ago as well. But probably based on reputation, the big tie here is Dynamo Minsk Torpedo Zodino. Yeah, Slavia Mozir's down in 13th, and that's a nice little 3-way battle with Sputnik Rachista and Arsenal Dzerzhinsk for the 2 relegation playoff spots. It looks likely that Neiman Grodno and Islak are probably going down. Injury-wise, we're not bad off. Radkovic, that's youth goalkeeper, that was honestly a bit of a reach that I brought him in. Sort of emergency coverage in case Lapko, the current 3rd-string keeper, get pilfered by somebody, and pack him off. I've been trying to offload his contracts up at the end of the season. I'll just end up letting him go. There was actually somebody that came lead a second-tier side, kept trying to get him on a free. It's like, no. I'm not that desperate to get rid of him. When I did the last update, it was deadline day. Trying to remember. I didn't go back and rewatch that before this to remember if I talked about the transfer I made on deadline day. Brought in Mario Alberto Plasencia, a now 22-year-old, because he just turned 22, center back from Mexico. He's actually got a pretty good bit of playing time for me already, and actually done pretty well in the league. 5 starts, 1 appearance off the bench in the league, averaging a 6.8. Started both Belarusian Cup matches, 6.9. Why I brought him in is because of the outbound player. Because I was going to lose a foreign center back on a contract. Because they wanted more than I could offer. More on that in a moment when I pull that player up. Decent, so 22, so young guy, decent physicals, 13 marking, 14 tackling, 12 positioning. On the whole, some decent mentals. Aggression, anticipation, composure might be a little lower than you might like. 6'1", 16 jumping, 10 heading, 11 strength, so he's not going to get pushed around too easily. A lot of potential here, I think. albeit I don't know that he's going to have too much more room for growth. Made him one of the higher paid players on the team, out 1.1K per week. But 22, I should have him around for a few years. I'll actually, before I go show the other player that's come in, I'll actually show who left to set that up. Tobias Galvin. Yeah, like I said, like I was saying, he wanted important player. He was my third string center back though. 20 now 26. He was 25 at when this happened. I wasn't willing to promise important player. The most I wanted to give him was regular starter. So negotiations broke down between me and Galvin. And then Minsk came in for him. How often has he actually played for Minsk? He's played a few matches for Minsk and actually did a little bit better for them than he did for me. But before I could renegotiate with him, because there's a cooling down period if you actually try to negotiate and then talks break down. During that cool down period, Minsk came in with an offer that he liked. So once I lined up the replacement in our young Mexican, I reached out to Minsk. It's like, okay, can we reach an agreement so you can have him now? I got like 3.8K for him, which was pretty close to his value, so not a terrible piece of business. He's getting paid $250 a week there. I think that's actually less than he was making for us, but and to be a squad player, oofda. I hadn't actually looked that close at him since he'd left. And then this next signing was after the window, so he's not going to be able to play till next season. There were some sides sniffing around him though, so I figured best to lock him in, try to lock him in if I can get him. Danil Punagov, 25-year-old Russian center back. Of course, he's a couple years older, but there's a good bit to like here. Not as strong as the Mexican, but 15 acceleration, 14 agility, 14 jumping, 12 pace, 14 natural fitness, so some really good physicals for this league. 6 feet, fairly skinny at 154, because he's like 20 pounds lighter than the Mexican, who's only an inch taller. 14 marking, 12 tackling, 10 heading, so fairly comparable there. 14 positioning. Mentals, not the greatest, but since he's Russian, he's not foreign. And part of the thought process with bringing Pudnagov is Morales is pushing 30, and he's one of my starting center backs. Resolute personality too is nice. Theoretically, he's supposed to be able to play out on the left fullback, but he's only got 3 crossings, so he's really not a fullback. So I've made him available to the reserves. He only had a basic understanding of Belarusian. He's taking a language course as well. So by the time next season starts, he should be well acclimated. But yeah, I would have just been keeping him around on trial, but there was some serious interest in him from other places. So I managed to get him in on 800 a week. Fairly decent, good bit of bonuses, but fairly decent contract. And of course, we have a bunch of space in the wage budget, so I am sort of keeping a bit of a wary eye on interest in a couple of our players being shown, including Shapko, the starting keeper, which I actually noticed this while I was getting ready to do this video. He has interest from a Dutch highest league side, and the explanation here had me go look at his contract. It's like, oh, did I actually put that in there? And what is it for? He's got a $30,000 minimum release clause to foreign clubs that expires at the end of this year. He's valued currently at $28,000. This is a potential problem. Since he is my starting keeper, so I may need to look at, even though he's got plenty of time on his current deal, just at least take a look to see if I can get rid of that release fee. I sort of think it's unlikely, but we'll see. But yeah, so like I said, 6th place, very tight in the league. What's the run-in look like? Ignoring the friendlies, not terrible. Not great, but not terrible. Because it'll be end of the season when I do the next update. Away match, Sputnik Ruchista. Host Gomel, so 12th, 10th. Away to Vitebsk in 9th. Away to Arsenal Dzerzhinsk in 14th. This is the uh-oh match. Shakhtar Sologorsk comes to visit us, albeit with second to last match of the season. They may have the title locked up by then, so they may not have anything to play for. And then host Dynamo Brest 11th. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot to show highlights, didn't I? I'll actually show a couple of the European matches. Sorry, I haven't been working off of notes when I do these videos to remember. So this is the 5-0 win over Norrköping, Sweden. Nicely worked ball. Reemish powers it in just past the half-hour mark. Mironov picked up the ball out wide. That pass had eyes through the Kozlov. He buries it for the second, just before half. Timofeev, I believe, was off the bench in this match. Nice little passing play before he finds Kozlov. Grinkov, Vasilevich. He would have been off the bench in this match too. Nice ball over the top. Reemish brings that down, controls it nicely. That's his brace. And then 91st minute, Reemish squares it. Kozlov with the very easy finish. Completes the hat trick. And then I think I show the Wolves match because of its significance of us beating a team from one of Europe's best leagues. This is like fresh off the second half kickoff, basically. Sloppy turnover led to a chance for them. Greenish, Rothman. Tazel just got a piece of that on its way through. 1-1 on the night. Rothman out by the Gasmy. Nice little header. Greenish got to it first. That gave us a 2-1 lead on the night. And then stoppage time at Garenko, Tazel, Greenish. Bit of a misplay by their center back there. Made it 3-1 on the night. But like I said, we came up short 5-3 on aggregate. Finances, yeah, we're in the red. Sponsorship from Europe still hasn't come in. Otherwise, this would look a little better. But financial status does say okay. I don't know how accurate these projections are, so. But hopefully we can get back into Europe for next season. Because this, A, it would help our reputation, B, it would help financially. So I think I've pretty well covered everything. It's a bit of a longer update, but with all those extra matches, it was going to take a bit more time. Plus the end of the transfer window I had to go through. So if you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching. I stream this save sometimes on Twitch. Link to that will be in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day.